Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Rich Reviews. My latest documentary here for you now happens to be Be Water, and this is a documentary about Bruce Lee, and this is part of the 30 for 30 ESPN series, and this is directed by Bo Win, and this premiered earlier this year at Sundance, and obviously now has made its way to ESPN, and this is a very engaging documentary. I recently watched my good friend Sean Chandler and his take on the material, and how he recently read a documentary about Bruce Lee, and he's obviously interested in Asian cinema, of course. And let me confess, I have actually watched a good number of these 30 for 30 documentaries. There was one recently on Dennis Rodman, there was one about the USFL, there was one about the XFL, there was one about this football team, there was one about, there are a whole bunch of documentaries. You may take them, you may not. I think what I like about this particular documentary is that all the talking heads are in voiceover. They're not actually on screen until the very end, because a lot of times you have documentaries, there are these talking heads. Basically, we're talking about, first and foremost, a man, and how it starts out beginning in 1970, and obviously going back and then forward again. I know Sean Chandler wasn't a fan of that. I actually happen to quite like that. Obviously, I don't know much about Bruce Lee, and I think a lot of people don't either. They view him as some sort of god, and here it breaks him down to human standard, because like all of us, he had flaws. He had dreams of breaking out and becoming the best person that he can want to be. He was born here in San Francisco, raised pretty much in Hong Kong, and then the age of 18, with a couple $100 in his pocket, came back to Seattle, started a couple of gyms to teach Kung Fu, which is a derivative of karate and other martial arts things. They do briefly gloss over his connection with Ip Man. I know there are a couple of Ip Man films I've never seen, and how really, through Bruce Lee's own words, his letters, and obviously his wife is in voiceover, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in voiceover, his son, his daughter. Obviously, Brandon Lee has died, obviously. I think the footage of Lee is probably the best material that I think I've seen here. They show him with this screen test for The Green Hornet. I never watched that series. I never saw the horrid film that they made. During the 60s, obviously, when things were going to shit and the blacks were rising up, the Asians were studying hard. And basically, yes, the Chinese had it really shittily for a very long time, because they were excluded from becoming citizens. Really, they were basically forced into these places and had to do Uncle Tom routines. Obviously, Bruce Lee wanted to break barriers. Of course, Hollywood didn't really know what to do with Bruce Lee. He was acting in films from a very early age for his father, who was also a sort of actor on stage as well. And how there's really one particular film from the 1950s that's really sort of an early biopic of his life, and how he wound up as a street kid in Hong Kong. And of course, his father was like, okay, I'm going to ship you off here. Bruce Lee first got notice through a karate competition in the early 60s. That led to an audition, obviously, as I said, for The Green Hornet. And clearly, for a very long time, white actors took Asian roles. And I think, obviously, Bruce Lee took offense to this because, obviously there's the acceptable Asian or acceptable black person that rises through the ranks of society, but never talking about social issues in fear of the white society turning on you. And finally achieving stardom in the 70s in Hong Kong, at a time when Hong Kong was really a crossway between the American GIs stationed over abroad, the British that were still ruling the place, and the Chinese people that were wanting to seek independence, or at least get back to the mainland. And obviously now when we think of Hong Kong, we think, hey look, they're striving, and basically they were rebelling against the central government in Beijing. Bruce Lee, through those several films, really came to embody what we think of a martial arts guy. I'm not really known for Asian cinema. I did see that one Jet Li film called Fearless. Well, or one of the earliest Bruce Lee films starred a very young Chuck Norris. I think one of the things that they go into is how could Bruce Lee die at the age of 32 or 33? There has to be some grand conspiracy. No, there is no conspiracy. He took a bad cocktail of, aspirin and some other drug, and it killed him. Yes, anyone would have a bad reaction to it. It's sad, and obviously we see that funeral in which everyone is there, and his wife looks just exhausted. The wife here is basically like, yeah, my parents didn't exactly want us to get married, but Bruce won them over. I would love to have read that biopic that John Chandler mentioned. So in the end, folks, what I'm going to say about Be Water, amazingly enough, I'm going to give this a super awesome ranking because I truly believe that people are starved for good films, not crap VOD stuff that people are getting accustomed to. So folks, Be Water, have you seen this? What did you think? Please put everything in the comment box below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, enrich yourself with knowledge. I'm at Michael Richard, Richard Priest 2 on Twitter. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray.